Welcome back. This is Good Morning Kenya. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Vivian Ndegwa, and right now we get into a different segment right here on the show. And right now we will be talking about securing the digital economy and strategic interventions. And joining me for this particular conversation are cybersecurity professionals. On my immediate left, we have Orifa W. Peter. He is the cybersecurity and AI specialist, CyberPro Global. And then on my far left, we have Dr. David Njoga, and he is the head of cybersecurity policy, strategy, and standards. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, for the purpose of this conversation, if we may just begin by introducing what digital economy is. When we talk about the digital economy, what exactly are we looking at? Maybe if I may start with you.
Thank you very much. Digital economy, with a brief introduction. Digital economy is generally an economic activity that results from the billions of everyday online transactions, connections among the people or business or even devices and data and processes. In general terms, that is what we rate as a digital economy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And as it is, right now, what are some of the most significant cybersecurity threats that are affecting the digital economy?
If I could just mention what the landscape looks like, we are seeing a lot of digitization of critical services in the critical sectors.
Yeah.
And that is really what is composing the digital economy. In Kenya, for example, we are seeing dependence on critical services from utilities, healthcare, financial, and so on and so forth, including government services.
Yeah.
So then the process of digitization of the same is really what creates the digital economy. Now, that means that the digital data that is being captured in the systems become a target by many state and non-state actors. From where we sit, from the National Computer and Cyber Crimes Coordination Committee, we see a lot of people interested in destroying the integrity of the data that is captured in the digital economy systems, as well as disrupting critical infrastructure that the citizens so depend on. So we look at one common threat is what we commonly call the distributed denial of service, like the one that we suffered from last year during the e-citizens disruption.
Yeah.
We also see a lot of capture of our digital platforms through ransomware attacks. This is where we see various interested criminals just wanting to get hold of critical data or database systems of organizations and demand ransom, which indeed is really criminal, but it's quite in a way disrupting the operations of such entities. So those are actually the key threats to the digital economy, because they disrupt the systems and they also compromise the digital trust that the consumers so wish to have.
Yeah. Yeah, from the threats that Dr. David has just mentioned, maybe, Peter, if you can just tell us how to go about, building strong cybersecurity defenses so that we're able to mitigate such challenges.
Thank you very much. The threats are very key, and we have to be proactive, cyber security, and ensure that we are secured. And this is it's an all-round event that need to be done from the business or from the employees or employers or the institutions. There must be a proactive and ensure that the business and institutions, millions of dollars, are well secured. And how is this achieved?
Yeah.
One, through ensuring that there is a well gap bridged between the skill gap that we have currently in the country or worldwide, that needs to be bridged for the cybersecurity experts or specialists by ensuring that there's a proper trainings onto these, as well as also we must have digitized government. all goes around within the government itself. The collaborations with the government and the institutions, or even the private sectors, government and private sector collaborations, bridges the gap of skills experts within the industry, and that will definitely ensure that the security of our cyberspace is ensured.
Yeah. So as it is at the moment, we don't have enough skilled cybersecurity professionals, do we?
At the moment, the skills is still low compared to the ISO standards that is required. It's still low. And this gap needs to be bridged, and that is why the private institutions like the CyberPro collaborates with the higher learning institutions to create this gap by ensuring that there is an industry best practice trainings that is done for professionals to come out, because you find out that students come out from universities, they are trained in ICT, but you still find that there is no that bridging of the gap from the industry level, because what we get from the universities is not what is within the industry. So there must be a skill gap that is ensuring that the industry best practice is achieved. And this can only be achieved by most of the practicals and the studies in the research, so that to ensure that whatever is in the industry is what the gap or the skills is being delivered. Yeah.
All right. Maybe getting it from your end, being that you work with the government, what is the government doing, in ensuring that they are working together, maybe with the private sector or the private institutions, to just ensure that we get to bridge this gap, whereby we have enough skilled professionals on this particular matter, that is cybersecurity?
Yeah, you are aware that the government of Kenya has a deliberate intervention, approach of the digital superhighway and the creative economy, which is a key pillar in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Yeah. And that creates a very large digital footprint. So that, if you look at our ecosystem as it is in Kenya, we have a lot of connectivity. Actually, Kenya is one of the, I think, the second country in Africa in terms of connectivity up to the last mile. Now, that means that we really have to invest in skills to be able to manage these platforms, to secure them, as well as to enjoy the digital services that are so provided. So what we are doing at National Computer Cyber Crimes Coordination Committee, one of the pillars in our strategy is actually capacity and capability building. And this is the third year of our strategy, and we have had a lot of interventions. One is including development of the National Cybersecurity Training Guide, which is supposed to articulate what our workforce requirements are, and therefore the other members of the Kenyan ecosystem can plug into those various training skills requirements. The other one is about collaboration with the training institutions. We notice that we have a lot of skills being churned from higher institutions of higher learning, but that is not fit for the industry. Therefore, we are currently championing development of short professional courses, which are a quick fix to the much demanded cybersecurity workforce. And I think we have been able to work with a lot of private sector as well as academia into this. And one of the current collaborations we have is with CyberPro, which is actually launching a few cybersecurity professional courses that's going to fit the ecosystem. So we are also encouraging a lot of research and innovation, so that we have really Kenyan cybersecurity solutions, including domesticated training packages to deal with our Kenyan cybersecurity challenges.
All right. Maybe to you, Mr. Peter, what are the best practices for ensuring data privacy, especially in this digital world where it is highly, dependent on data sharing rather?
Thank you. Before I move to the best practices, just to add on the skill gap. Currently, most institutions nowadays, they don't have a question of where or how the data is going to, or the cybersecurity threats is going to happen, but the question is when. So definitely it is something that now we live within us, that we know that this is there, it is within us, but it is when. And when is this? Do we have prepared a team that can really achieve this kind of when we are hit by the cybersecurity? Thank you. And we also find that globally, it says that cybersecurity experts are still not available, both in the business and even in the professionals. Back to your question, the cybersecurity standards, these are built within the ISO standards of 2007 with the best practice in terms of ensuring that the data is at rest with implementation of the CIA, that is the availability, the integrity, and the consistency of the data itself. So the standards are set within the COVID standards that helps. It's an international ISO standards that sets within for the data security.
Okay. All right. You've talked about the international standards, that's the ISO. Maybe to you, Dr. David, you know, we have the Constitution, Article 31 on the Data Act in Kenya. If you can just get us into that, you know, what regulations are there when it comes to matters, the digital platforms? Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Digital platforms, like I mentioned, really is about the connectivities and the use of the digital technologies therein. So that creates what we normally refer to basically as the objectives of information security, which is maintaining confidentiality of data, maintaining integrity, as well as availability of data. Therefore, Kenya, as it is currently, and NC4, where I am, we are the coordination framework for this, and we actually, NC4 is a team, is a committee of various key stakeholders from government and private sector, chaired by the principal secretary, Mayor State Department of for Internal Security and National Administration. So we incorporate various entities, and therefore there are various laws by various institutions which now are used to manage this cyberspace. One of which is the Computer Misuse Cybercrimes Act, Chapter 79C, Laws of Kenya, which was enacted in 2018, and that is what has created the various offenses, what has established the various offenses, and the mechanisms for responding to cyber incidents, as well as investigating and punishing cyber criminals. We also have the Data Protection Act, which you referred to, which actually complements the Computer Misuse Cybercrimes Act, because it's particularly talking about data privacy. There are also other laws, including the Kenya Information Communications Act, and many others. So all these combinations, again, look at also the other laws by various institutions, like the National Police Service, the ones from prosecution and so on. It brings in a conglomeration of all the activities that we need to do in terms of preventing cyber threats, identification, response, as well as even prosecution of various criminals. So we have various laws and regulations. And the last regulation, the latest regulations that were enacted this year is what we call the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes, Critical Information Infrastructure and Cybercrimes Management Regulations 2024, which now unbundles the requirements for complying with the various activities that will make sure that we protect our digital systems.
Mr. Peter, do you feel there's more that should be done, matters regulation, in the country?
There is a lot that needs to be done. And definitely, as my colleague has said here, there need to be enforcements of this, the NC4, to be composed or to be built as a body, as an institution that regulates the cybersecurity. Because, for instance, right now, I don't know how a lawyer would easily handle a cybersecurity incident or a case that is before the court, because the regulations are still not yet set, because this person has just stolen the space. There is no set regulation that guides us how to reprimand this person that has just done a cybercrime within the space. So there is need for more to be done for the laws, and even, for instance, we also talked about how do we even tax the digital economy. For the government itself to earn more revenues on this. There must be some guidelines or some rules that will help us even to tax this kind of digital economy, because as per the current president, the bottom-up agenda is more on the digital space. But how are we going to add value, or how is it going to be more valuable to the government in terms of even earning tax? Because we still do not even have a regulation that tax the digital space, for instance. So there's a lot that needs to be done by the digital government, and we also need to have a digital business and the infrastructure. The current infrastructures still do not handle our digital space. So there still need more to be done. And this can only be achieved by the collaborations of the governments and the private sectors together.
So you do agree that frameworks should be put in place on emerging technologies, because we now have AI. Do we have, frameworks that have been put in place, on matters AI as well, right? AI
is, I would say that AI has been there for many years, and a lot of systems that we have been using actually based on AI. What challenge we have, and not only in Kenya, these are global, is that technology is really moving very fast, and AI is actually moving faster than any other person's imagination. So what Kenya is doing, just like the rest of the world, is that we're actually looking at how do we encourage professional use of AI, because that's the best that we can do. In a normal setup, we cannot regulate technology, but we can regulate the proper use of that technology. So as we speak now, there are a lot of initiatives that are ongoing from the professional bodies, from government, in terms of policies and frameworks for promoting ethical use of AI. And I think within the next few months, we'll be seeing national frameworks that will support that effort being launched from the leadership, from the top leadership.
When you talk about the digital economy, we cannot escape, speaking about remote work, because now it is a way of people earning a living right now, even in the country. Most people are actually earning their living through remote work. So what is the future of remote work in the country, and how best should we approach it in order for more people to benefit from it? Either of you can take that.
Thank you. This will go in line with the innovation. There must be a great and a robust driven innovation entrepreneurship to help promote the working at home or remote work. That is how you put it. In terms of digital skills, because for us to achieve this, again, we must have a lot of innovations, systems that are in place to help us this. And how do we achieve this? I go back to my 4 agendas, that is the digital government, digital business, and infrastructure. We must have a proper infrastructure to help us achieve this, because that is how everything is going. Soon we are going to have remote branches, remote virtual branch, virtual offices, which currently we do have in the space. And to achieve this, we must have a proper infrastructure, the connectivities, the availabilities of the internet connections, the accessibility of all kind of resources that needs for purpose of working at home. Because generally, working at home or remote work means that you're not stationed to one place. You can find a solution or give a solution to anywhere. Even in the medical practitioners, it's still possible, but we need to have an infrastructure, and that is the best way that we need to go to.
All right. Maybe how can risks be managed in these emerging technologies?
Yeah, emerging technologies bring a lot of risks because one, they are new just from that concept, and therefore it means that criminals are able to take advantage of some of the unknown vulnerabilities in these platforms. So it's really, then it also catches the professionals unaware because people have to really rapidly upscale. So the quick interventions to this one is a very vibrant and proactive research and innovation to understand these technologies, adopt them within our ecosystems, and customize them so that we are able to utilize them well. Secondly is to proactively and continuously look at the vulnerabilities within these platforms and be able to mitigate them in good time before they're really compromised. The other one is to really look at the best practices globally and see how best as a country we are able to build our workforce which can fit within the existing framework so that we can manage the challenges that come with these emerging technologies, which are just around security, compromising confidentiality, integrity and availability of data and systems.
Yeah, and how do you think that digital currencies, impact the security landscape of the digital economy? And when I'm talking about digital currencies, I'm looking at things like, cryptocurrency and so on. Yeah. How do they impact?
Just to jog our memory, this happened sometimes back in our country when this team came, and I think it went to the parliament, and it was a big issue on how. But just aside, the digital currency impacts on our economy and positively because one, we find that the interconnections or trading in other countries, it makes it more seamless, more easy compared to before, where we didn't have a situation where we have a digital currency. For instance, in cryptocurrencies, the tradings that we do online help us. I can easily have download my crypto coins here and trade with them, and later I get returns in Kenyan shillings. So it really helps in terms of interrelations within the continents and even the worldwide economy, because we are looking ourselves into soon having a singular currency, because once we embrace the digital platform and cryptocurrency, then the next thing is, why do we have different currencies here and there that are trying to trade from here and there? So by the end of the day, it's going to be a unified trading, which will improve even the GDP for other countries, or even for our country, for instance. Yeah.
So Vivian, maybe just to add something, on the flip side of it, he has focused on the positives of the cryptocurrency. Mine from the national security perspective, because I normally say that cybersecurity is national security.
It is.
Now, cybersecurity, of course, creates a platform for positive use of the digital platforms, but we also see people using the digital platforms for negative uses. We have the commonly called platform that is referred to as the dark web. The dark web is where people do all sorts of criminal activities, from child trafficking, drug trafficking, all illicit kind of trade. And the only single currency used to trade in the dark web is the digital currencies. Therefore, from security perspective, which was your question, I think it raises a lot of concerns, and therefore we need to look at the motivation for use of cryptocurrencies in those criminal activities, which is based on anonymity. So unless anonymity can be well addressed, then I think we should really have a way of regulating the use of digital currencies.
All right, as we almost come to a close of this conversation, maybe my last question would be on the steps that different organizations should take in ensuring their cyber resilience.
There needs to be a lot of engagement and a lot of awareness in cybersecurity. And I think this needs to involve the government and even the private sectors collaborating together with the learning institutions. And this is what CyberPro is currently doing, by organizing a Cyber Week, a conference that brings the cyber experts together. This is a conference that is going to be held in the University of Nairobi. For the information of the viewers and listeners, there will be a conference, Cyber Week conference, that to be held on 23rd to 27th of this month at the University of Nairobi. This has been organized by the government entities and the private sectors coming together. And the government entities here includes the NC4, or where my brother sits from. We also have the KSG, Kenya School of Government, also as a collaborator, and the University of Nairobi as the host of this conference, including the CyberPro as the organizers from the private sectors. We also involve Embassy of Israel, just to make it have a worldwide image, so that we bring in, being Israel is one of the best in the industry, so we bring in more innovations and knowledge from the best, among the best. So this is what needs to be done, and it's something that's going to happen annually, so that we try to bridge the gap of cybersecurity skill gap, and also awareness trainings to the institutions, so that we find ourselves in the space.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Your parting shot, sir.
Thank you. From where we sit, because our mandate under Section 4 of the National Computer Cybercrimes Act is that we need to have a robust, secure and resilient cyberspace for the people of Kenya to support the digital transformation. So some of the strategic interventions at NC4 so that we can build digital trust, because that's the problem, that's a concern of many stakeholders, is one is to have a very robust and protected critical information infrastructure. Also, we need to have, the other intervention is elaborate capacity and capability building, so that we can have skills and solutions for our ecosystem. Dealing with cybercrimes ruthlessly, because that is a deterrent to enjoying the fruits of the digital services, as well as collaboration and cooperation. And as a country, we are actually towards the end stage of being part of the Malabo Convention, that's African Union Convention on Cybercrimes and Digital Data Privacy, as well as the Malabo Convention. That is really going to enhance our global cooperation and collaboration. We are also keen into incident response, as well as having a very robust legal frameworks to support the activities of cybersecurity. So we see various interventions, both from the strategic level all the way up to the operational level within every organization. And one of the things that we have done and we are keen on is to have an improved national cybersecurity situational awareness. And this is going to be achieved through having reporting and monitoring of our cyberspace from the critical infrastructure owners to the various sectors up to the national, and this is going to be achieved through the cybersecurity operational centers which are being implemented.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on this topic of securing the digital economy. And this is where we end it right now. But don't you go too far. Victor Olo will be back with a conversation on cultivating a culture of peace in Kenya. But before that, let's get the weather updates.